Good morning, y'all. I'm Marlene Bush, and this is Stitching by the Lake. Today is the 14th of September, and it's about 10:30 in the morning. I have changed places. I usually try to do one video in the fall in my dining room so that y'all can see this quilt behind me. This is one of the most favorite quilts I've ever done. I don't know the name of it. I'm going to try to move this a little to show you. It is a hand appliqued quilt. It's machine quilted. I had it done by a professional quilter. I didn't do this one. And it has the top quilted panel, and then it has 12 blocks below. I suppose there's supposed to be one for each month, but they're in no particular order. It's just the way the quilt was done. And yes, this is really a channel about cross stitch, but there are so many of us who cross that boundary over into other crafts, and several who do quilts I know who are always interested. In fact, before this ends, I'm going to talk about a little fall quilt that you can make, a lap quilt. Y'all know I don't do tutorials because I can barely figure out how to make this video, but I am going to talk to you about a really, really easy fall lap quilt. Or really, it could be any season, but the one I have to show you is a Halloween one. I have lots to talk about today, lots. The first thing I'm going to do is to give you kind of a little life update. It won't take long, I promise, and you can skip over if you want to go on to the next thing. It's been a month or so since I made a video, so several things have happened. All good. Everything is fine. Well, not all good, but mostly everything is fine. If you've been following my videos for any length of time, you know that I constantly complain about my eyes. The light, I just couldn't seem to get enough light. And 2 years in a row, when I went for my yearly ophthalmologist visit, I complained and told him I'm putting 4 lights on me, coming from all directions, and wearing I wear a 4.5 magnifier, glasses reader, and use a magnifier sometimes because I couldn't get enough light. And so I was convinced that the solution to that was going to be cataract surgery. But 2 years in a row, he said no. I do have cataracts, but they're not bad enough for surgery. So finally, the last visit I went, he suggested something else. My eyes, primarily because of my age, my eyes were very hooded. The lids had come down and were laying on top of my eyelashes. And that meant they were pushing my eyelids down. So when you're looking down to cross stitch, it's blocking a lot of the light. So I decided I would go and have surgery. And a week ago today, I did that. I went to an eye surgeon and had my eyelids done, for whatever that's worth. I always said that I didn't think I was the type of person to do cosmetic surgery, and this is termed cosmetic surgery because they were not covering my corneas. That's Medicare's definition, which meant, of course, that Medicare wasn't going to pay for it. But it was worth it to me to have it done. I still have stitches in my eyes, and I'm still swollen, but not bad. I bruised very little. At the end of the video, I will get a little closer and show y'all the stitches, because several of you have mentioned to me that you are interested in that surgery. And hey, we might as well get real about it and say this is just something we can do now, and thank you, Lord, that we can do it, that it will help. It is amazing to me at how much more light I'm getting. It has extended my peripheral vision. I didn't think about that, but it has done that. So I'm very pleased with it. It's going to be another couple of weeks probably before this is completely gone. And I just decided, heck, I'm just going to go ahead and do a video because I have stuff out here that I want to get put away. And so I didn't want to wait a lot longer to do the video. Plus, Jerry and I are taking a little trip. We're leaving in a couple of days, and we're going to be gone for a while, a couple of weeks probably, or close to a couple of weeks anyway. I'll try to video. We're going to Colorado, and I'll try to do a video from out there, but frankly, the internet is awful where we're going, so I may not get to do that, and I may not get it uploaded if I do. So whatever, I'll do my best, okay? Let's see what else is going on. Fall is beginning here. The first trees to turn in my yard are the dogwoods, and I only have one dogwood left. I started out with 3 18 years ago, whenever we moved in here. And I'm down to 1, and honestly, I think it's probably on its way out. I don't know. Do dogwoods have just like a short lifespan or something? I don't know. Anyway, the leaves have begun to turn on the dogwood, and there's a different light. It's like there's a shift in the light out on the lake, and the colors are different from summertime colors, even though the leaves are still green. It's just different, and it's very beautiful. It's a good time of year. Our temperatures have dropped some. We're out of the hundreds and down into the upper 80s and lower 90s in the daytime. When we walked this morning, I think it was maybe 74, and that was about 8:30, something like that. So pleasant enough days. Not pleasant enough to open the windows during the day, and the bugs are still out, mosquitoes and that sort of thing. But anyway, that's pretty much all that's going on here. Can't think of anything else. So I have stuff stacked all around me in no particular order because y'all know I'm very organized ordinarily. If you could see my closet, it's really organized. But somehow when I get to these videos, I just kind of lose control because I want to talk about everything. Anyway, I want to tell you about something new I found. Last week before my surgery, my sister came down and spent a week with me and took me in for the surgery, and we got to have some really great quiet time together. But one day before the surgery, we went over to the Shepherd's Needle in Little Rock, and I found this light. I want to show you. Y'all, I have so many lights, I can't even tell you. But because we're going to be traveling, I was looking for something a lot smaller. This is called Star Mag. It has an LED light, and it has a base that clips on. It's run on batteries, and that's what I was looking for, because as we go out into the park, the Rocky Mountain National Park, we like to go and take a picnic lunch and sit in the lawn chairs and watch for the animals, and I frequently will take my stitching. This is what I had, Abby, I had a cover on it. This is what it looks like. It's very small. I have found that I can clip this onto my hook, or if you use Q-snaps, it would snap onto that, I think. The snap is pretty good size. This lifts up and then it'll go back down. And the light is pretty good. I don't know. I think it takes, my husband put batteries in it for me. It's a small light, y'all. It is not, it's 2 little lights like that. It is not a great big, hugely bright light. However, if you're sitting in the shade outside, I think it's going to work very well for me. So I'm going to throw in some extra batteries, and this is going to be my magnifier and light for outdoors. The magnifier, by the way, y'all, is extremely clear. You know, sometimes you can get a magnifier that's, I don't know, it's kind of like a little blurry, but not really, hazy, sort of. This one is not like that. It's very clear. And so that's going to be traveling with me. And let me see if I can find the price for you. Lights are not cheap. This one is $50. They have them at the Shepherd's Needle. They don't have a large number of them, but she can order them for you if you are interested in that. So if you are, call Ann or Sherry at the Shepherd's Needle. And I'll try to put their phone number down in that box below. Okay, let's talk about things I have FFO'd since I saw you last. This was a new start and a finish and an FFO. These are the threads that I used for this pattern. This is a Brenda Gervais pattern, and I stitched this, let's see, nope, not that witch, another witch that's in here. There are several patterns in here. Let me see which one it is. This one right here. This is the one I stitched. I'm going to stitch more out of this book, but this is just the one that I did since I saw y'all last. I used the Call For colors where I had them. If I didn't, I substituted. And honestly, I don't know what the fabric is because I didn't bring my notes in here. I found this little board at Hobby Lobby. They have them right now. They're not much money, and they're on sale 40% off. I want to say they're like $4, but not, you know, they're a brown, a regular wood, and I spray painted that black. I mounted it on foam core, laced it, glued it to the back, and then put this trim on, and I'm pretty sure I glued that. Yeah. It's glued, and added a little bit at the top in case I wanted to hang it on a doorknob. Is that not the cutest thing? I have lots of little Halloween finishes that I've done, and maybe on the next video I'll try to gather them up and show you. What I don't have are ones that are fall, just fall. I mean, this one's Halloween because look, the little jack-o'-lantern has a face, and it's a witch. So I'm working on looking at some others to do that are just fall. And one of them that I did this time is, let's see, this is a free autumn cross-stitch pattern from happinessiscrossstitching.blogspot.com. That's all one word. happinessiscrossstitching.blogspot.com. And it is, I did the one, this one that says, every leaf speaks bliss to me, fluttering from the autumn tree. And that's a quote from Emily Bronte. I found this little, stuck back in some of my stuff, and it came from Hobby Lobby, of course, this little orange pumpkin. It had a big leaf sticking out up here. I find as I get older, I tend to get simpler on things that I do. I love the Priscilla and Chelsea finishes, but they just aren't for me. I do want a little bit of decoration though, so I just picked my own colors on this, and the words are kind of hard to see because the orange that I picked, I think is a little paler. I wish I had gone a little darker. And I had these leaves, I believe they came from Michael's, just a package of leaves. They are not buttons. They're just little flat leaves, and well, they're not flat, because see, they've got some dimension to them. And I just put a drop of glue behind them and glued them on there. And I had this cording. I keep an eye out on the cording at Hobby Lobby, and when it's on sale, if I see colors that I think would work for different things, I pick them up. This sits up by itself, so it will go on a shelf and be great there, or it could go in a dough bowl with other things. My August camp cross stitch stitching was from this book, Sewing Club, Blackbird Designs, and it is, let me see, I'll find the name of it for you. In this book, it's on page, I'll get there just a minute, y'all. Okay, I gotta hurry through here because I want to stop and look. It's called Summer Flocks, and it's on page 33 in this book. This is what it looks like. Love, love, love this book. I stitched it. I don't have any of this information in here with me. I'm sorry, I didn't bring my little journal, but if you're interested, you can email me, and I'll put that below, and I can look it up for you. I want to say this is Confederate gray, but it's really too blue for that. Anyway, I used the cauliflower colors. There's my stitching. I made it into a button bag. Not great stitching on this casing for this button bag because I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know. But it looks okay. Added a little ribbon through the casing, and I filled it with some buttons from my button jar. I have tons and tons of buttons. Not fancy buttons, just tons of buttons. When Jerry and I were working at the mission in Louisiana, one of the things that they did there was send out sewing kits to people in other countries who needed needles and thread and those kinds of things, and those were donated, and lots of people sent buttons. But there was a regulation about the buttons. Other countries wouldn't accept certain sizes or certain kinds. I don't know. I didn't know all the rules. But anyway, they had a big box of buttons one day that they needed to get rid of, and the director asked me if I knew anyone that would want them, and I said yes. I do. I'll take them home with me. And so I still have tons and tons of buttons. And they're not really buttons that you'd use so much on a project other than just as a filler, like this little button bag. I've been doing good finishing, y'all. Oh dear, where's my pattern for these? I'll come back to that. I can't show you this pattern because it's a PDF and I don't have a picture of the cover, but y'all have seen this before. It's called Faith. It's by Country Rustic Primitives, which is Jenny Hoffman. And you saw that I stitched these. I've stitched 3 of these, and they're just plain. What have I got on there? I filled them with walnut shells. This is the fabric I used on the back. I used scraps. I did the one that says Grace, and I did put some trim around it, but I've decided not to do that for these. I think they're just, these are going to be gifts. So anyway, 3 of those are done. Okay. I'm going to say this is not Forgotten Farm, but I can't swear to it. This is a pattern for smalls. I'm going to see if I can hold this up like this and have them oops, nope, they're not going to stay. One of these says rake and hoe. I just used twine. I backed them with wool. Used twine to make this one look kind of like a little gift package. This one is reap and sew, and I put a little twine around the outside. All of these I think are backed with wool. Yeah, they are. This one says plant and weed. I added the rusty safety pin. I don't know what this fabric was. I do know that I sprayed it with antiquing spray. And this one says herbs and seeds. I love these. Loved stitching those. They were so fast and so fun. Okay. Another thing that my sister and I did before my surgery was we went to the flea market, and I found a couple of stitches that I wanted to save. I have not yet washed this, but I have taken it out of the frame. I am going to wash it. On these older ones, I put them in like a little mesh laundry bag, and I wash them in with my regular stuff, because DMC, for the most part, does not fade doesn't run or anything like that. You can see the edges of this where it had been masking taped into a frame. Those are the darker places. This one says feed my sheep. I'm going to make a pillow out of it. It did not have a date on it, but I thought it was really sweet. And I want to say I paid a couple of bucks for it. Another one, this one's bigger, so it's going to take me a minute. And it is still in the frame, although I don't plan to leave it in the frame. I don't have a place to put this, so I'm going to make it into a pillow. This one does not have a date on it. It was framed in Camden, Arkansas. And it is a beautiful turkey. So perfect for Thanksgiving. It's done on DMC. I don't see any back stitching in it. Well, yes, I do too. Particularly in the wings, I see some back stitching. It's very detailed. I thought it was gorgeous. It was, I want to say it was about $8, something like that. Certainly worth it. I don't plan to wash this one. It's behind glass. I think when I take it out, I will vacuum it very lightly. Unless it looks like it's just really soiled, that's probably all I will do. And then I'm going to make it into a pillow. Y'all, isn't that gorgeous? And don't you just hate that ended up in a flea market? Look at all the hours. Somebody did a lot of work on that one. Okay, let's see. I have a gift I want to show you. My neighbor, Miss Betty, who lived 2 blocks from me, I guess. She and I became good friends early on when I moved into this neighborhood. She was a quilter and I was a quilter, and we both were in the same quilt guild. It was about a 30-40 minute drive, so she always rode with me because she didn't like to drive at night. I don't either anymore. Anyway, Miss Betty's husband passed away about 4 or 5 years ago, maybe 6, I don't remember now. It's been a while. And she is about 10 years older than I am. She has decided that it was time for her to move, and she moved into an independent living facility in that same town where we went to the Quilt Guild, actually. One of her sons and his wife live, 10 or 15 minutes from where she's living. She got a cottage, a 2-bedroom cottage that's just gorgeous. I was helping her pack up her quilting room, her craft room, she had this little tin that someone had stitched for her. It says, "To quilt is human, to finish is divine," but it is cross-stitched. Isn't that sweet? So I now have it. She gave it to me, and I now have it. This is what I have in it. These are, I don't know, what do you call those? They're great big pens. Are they? They're not markers, I don't think. I don't know, but decorative ones that I have gotten over time, people have given me. So this sits on my little table where I stitch every day, and is a great remembrance of her. She also had another cross-stitch piece. She had several cross-stitch pieces that had been given to her. Years ago, she called me one day and said, I go to once a week to this little stitching group, and mostly it's a quilting group, but the lady who hosts it at that point in time was over 90. And her name was Margaret, and Margaret cross-stitched. So she said, come with us. Come visit us today. So I did that, and Margaret, her friend, cross-stitched many pieces and gave to her. One is a welcome piece that's framed that I often hang on my front door because Betty gave it to me. She had it on her front door years ago, and I admired it every time I came in. And finally one day, she told me one day, she said, now when I die, I've got your name on the back of that. When I die, I want you to have it. And I said, well, I'd love to have it, but let's make that a long time away. And the next time I went, she said, I just decided I didn't want to wait. And she gave it to me. I'll try to remember to get that one out and show y'all at one day. Anyway, that's a long story to be telling you this. She had a piece that Margaret had stitched for her that was really pretty floral and had a lot of purple in it. Betty's favorite color is purple. So as we were packing up her stuff, I slipped that little unfinished piece into my pocket and brought it home with me, and I made her a pillow out of it to take and put on one of the beds in her cottage when she moved, so she would have that remembrance of Margaret and of me, both in that piece. I think she loved it, and I think she'll enjoy having it. Okay, what's next? What am I working on right now? I have, since I saw you last, worked on several things. Yesterday, I started Bristol Berries 3. This is an Erica Michaels pattern. I have Bristol Berries 1 and Bristol Berries 2. But last week when I was at the Shepherd's Needle, I picked up Bristol Berries 3, and that's, for some reason, that's just the one I started on. I have not stitched any of them yet. And I started on this one that has the Bible on it. I'm making me up a little sewing kit to take to Colorado with me, and I think I'm just, well, I'll take more than one, but I'm going to put several of these berry patterns in there. And this is how far I have gotten on this one. There's really not a lot more. There's a motif up here and maybe one little decorative line of stitching, and there's on this side there's initials, and on this side there's a number. And what Erica Michaels says in this, that's not her name, but you know what I'm talking about. What the pattern says is that in the orphanage, in the Bristol orphanage, they had numbers, and she thinks maybe the number that was here was one of the girls' numbers, and the initials belong to one of the girls, are her friends. I don't think I'm going to use those. I think that I will probably use my own initials and maybe the year here. I'm not sure. Anyway, I'm stitching this on a scrap piece. I think it's a 27 count, which is certainly not the same size that the pattern calls for. It's going to be a little bit bigger berry. And I'm using cayenne. Is that Weeks Dye Works? I think it is. Anyway, I'm using cayenne for that. I've also been working on the round robin. Y'all know I've been doing that for the last several months. And this is the last month. We're putting the last round in. I have already finished up the piece for my friend. There are 6 of us in this round robin. I worked on this pattern. Whoops, I'm just dropping stuff everywhere over here, y'all. I am using some Victorian Motto sampler, whatever that is. Victorian Motto sampler. And I'm using 2 colors and stitching with one thread for one length and then the next thread. And the reason I'm doing that is because I was fearful of not having enough, and I had 2 reds that have a different name, but they are so close to the same color that it made absolutely no difference. One is called Simply Red and one is called America the Beautiful. And you can see that they are so close. One is a tiny bit lighter than the other. This fabric is, oh geez, I don't know. Very thin. Look at that. Very thin. The pattern that I am doing is out of this book. I plan to do all of those. I love every one of those samplers. I'm doing Abington 1878. And this is how far I have gotten on this one. Wait a minute, y'all. Let me see if I can put something behind this. There. That ought to do it. It's a little wrinkled. It's been folded up in there. But isn't that striking? I just think it's beautiful. I love stitching this one. Just love stitching it. Hated to put it down, but there are so many. There are just so many. I have to move on and work on others. I think my next one, this is the one that I'm working on right there. I think I might do, this one's a pretty small one and would be pretty fast, and I may do that next. I'm not as crazy about the elaborate letters as I am the more simple ones. But I plan to do them all anyway. I'm sure once I start on it, I'll be just as hooked as I am on the plain letters. I also started from My Big Toe Designs. I started the Apostles' Creed. Just stunning. I wanted all the called for colors, and I didn't have them, and I decided to substitute, and then I didn't like what I substituted. This is as far as I have gotten. This gold is coming out. I did not like it under there. That top border called for, let's see, I want to say 3 different colors, but I am going to do it all in one color, the top border. And I think what I'm going to do, I think what I've decided to do, I'm stitching, that color is, by the way, is a Versoix 103, and it is color number 3673. There's what it looks like. It's kind of a greenish brown. And I'm going to use some of this NPI silk, which is a number 636. I don't know where I'm going to stitch the whole thing in that Versoix, but I am going to substitute in places the red. And I'm not sure where yet. If you look closely at this, there are some words that stand out more than the others, and they've used about 4 colors in here. But one that looks almost red, it's really maple syrup. It doesn't look like maple syrup, but that's what it says it is. But I think where those words are, where maple syrup was used, is where I'm going to use the red. I don't know. I'm going to play that by ear. See what it says. What fabric did I use on that? Did I even tell you that? Or did I know? You know, I pull things out of my stash, and I often don't know what they are. This one is a 32 count vintage country mocha. So that's what I'm stitching that on. I also started and worked on Hannah Carter, 1838, by Shakespeare's Peddler. This is a pretty big girl, 208 by 255. I am using Gloriana, and the color is Aubergine. Let's see. Let's put it up against my hair. It'll show up better. It's a brownish blue. It's like a brown, a navy, deep navy, but more brown. Uh-oh, I hear my husband coming back in. I'm still working on my video, honey. And this fabric is a 32 count vintage gray, R&R. And this is where I am. Jerry's been doing some shopping this morning. And errand running. That's how far I've gotten on that, which is not quite a fourth of this one. I love the Gloriana silk. It's a beautiful, beautiful color. Hard to see in this light, obviously. I also worked on Hannah's Brownstone, which is one that I've had for a while and started a long time ago. Hannah's Brownstone, which is by the Scarlet House. And that's what it looks like. I started with the house, and I'm so glad that I did, because that took a while, and now I feel like I'm just almost done. I'm not really, but I feel like that. I am. These are the colors. All weeks. And the house is finished. There's the house. I did make a mistake. I will point it out to you. I make lots of mistakes. I don't always point them out. I'm not going to change this. Sorry, y'all. She didn't want to stay up there. That house doesn't. On the two chimneys, the mortar between the bricks is supposed to be the lighter color that it is right here. And I put it as a darker color. I could go back and just stitch over that with the lighter color, and I might do that. But I'm not real bent out of shape about it. And this was also, no, this was a kit. So let's see, I can tell you what this fabric is. At least I think I can. Let's see what this pattern says. Nope, doesn't say. Oh, yes, it does. Edinburgh Summer Khaki, 36 count. And the reason I think I'm almost done, because really, look at that. I still have several motifs to go, but they are not nearly the stitching that's in that house. And then this is the last one that I worked on. This is the Stacey Nash Little Red Work Pin Keep. I used 28 count light exemplar. That was some fabric that was gifted to me by my friend Susan. And this is where I am on this one. So pretty. So pretty. All right, that's the last of the work. Now, I had some giveaways last time, so I need to go over those. Excuse me just a minute. Okay. The first one that I had last time was called Tessellating Stars Baby Quilt. And if you remember, it was this fabric. I used the random comment picker, and that one is going to Beth. And all it said was Beth. I mean, that was the only name that's on there. But the little icon beside your name, Beth, is a round circle that's orange. So if that's yours, please email me. It might be a couple of weeks before I get these in the mail. Just warning y'all. This one was Telling Emblems ABC. And the winner of this one is Kay Lowry. And then I had the 3 Shepherd's Bush patterns. One that is Be Nice. That's this one. Marcia Cruz won that one. The Be a Witch was Patty Kollach. I'm not sure. Kollach. And Be Brave, which is this one. And that one is Anne Musso. Anne, you've won from me before, I'm pretty sure. But I still need y'all to send me your addresses. Email me, please. I have 3 patterns that I'm going to give away this time. They are all Halloween. One is a Heinzit called Witch's Brew. Looks like this. If you are interested in this pattern, please use the word witch in your comment. This one is a moonflower design, and it says, some of my best friends are witches. Please use the word broom in your comment. And this one is from Sheepish Designs, and it's called Scary Wabbit. And if you would use the word rabbit, don't spell it like this. Spell it like rabbit, R-A-B-B-I-T, okay? It'll be easier for me to look for. Okay, I told y'all I was going to tell you about a quilt. So I'm going to show you this. I've got this darn microphone attached. I'm not sure how I'm going to manage it. Let's see how I can do this. This one happens to be a Halloween one. I'm going to take the mic off a minute and stand up. As you can see, it's a very simple one. Let's get the mic back on. If you want to make one, any season really, you need several, maybe half-yard cuts of fabric. And when I say several, it depends on how big you want to make it, so I can't really tell you. What I did was I cut a variety of widths all the way across the width of the fabric. I might have cut them 3 inches. I might have cut them 1.5. I might have cut them 2, 2.5. And then in between each one of the printed fabrics, I used a little small black print. Mine happens to be a little dot, little polka dot in there. And all you do is sew those widths together and make it as long as you want. Now you're limited to your width because fabric is generally 44, 45 inches. But I added borders. I wanted it to be a little bit wider, so I just added a border on each side. To make it the size that I wanted. And this one, y'all, it can be very simply quilted. All I did was do some straight stitching between the rows. And then I just did some meandering kinds of things up in the upper borders. I've always thought I did a Halloween one, and I thought I would do a fall one, and I never did. But you could also do spring fabrics, florals. You could do any holiday, because places like Hobby Lobby and Joann's have tons of printed fabrics to do that with. And if you wait until after the holiday, they'll all be marked down. Goodness, this video's gotten longer than normal for me. So I think that's about it, except I did promise y'all who were interested that I'd get closer and show you my stitches, so that if you want to do this little surgery, you'll know what you're dealing with. So I'm going to get close. I'm going to close my eyes. They cut from this outer corner in the seam all the way to the inner quarter. My stitches are coming out tomorrow, which is going to be 8 days after my surgery. You can see that my eyelids are still bruised here. There was a little bruising around right in here that quickly turned yellow and has faded. I have had absolutely zero pain. Took some Tylenol for a couple of days. I took a couple of pain pills the first day, not because I was hurting, but because I didn't want to hurt. I was afraid I would hurt, and I didn't want to. So I did, but then I thought, I don't think I need them, and I didn't. I took Tylenol the second day, and I didn't take anything after that. They do give you some salve, obviously, to put on that row of stitching. I had to sleep upright for 7 nights. That meant the recliner are 3 or 4 pillows on the bed. That's not great, but it's okay. I was very faithful about icing. The first 2 days, they tell you to ice them every 2 hours for 20 or 30 minutes, and I did. The next couple of days, they say ice them every 4 hours, and I did. Now, yesterday was Monday, and that's the first day I didn't put any ice on, but I do notice that right in here, where you would expect all that to go down, there's still a little bit of swelling right in there. So I'm going to ice it a couple of times today and see if that'll help. But I think once I get the stitches out tomorrow, that's going to make a huge difference. I've also not been able to put on makeup, and y'all know I don't typically do without makeup. In fact, my oldest daughter, my drama queen girl that I just adore, recently sent me a picture of herself with a new haircut, and it was beautiful. And I said, oh, put some makeup on and send me another one. And she said, no, I'm being my authentic self right now, and I'm not wearing makeup. And I thought about it for a minute, and I said, okay, honey, that's great. But when you drive my body to the crematorium, my authentic self needs to have on mascara, blush, and lipstick. And earrings, please. So y'all know it's been kind of a tough week for me if I didn't have any of that on. I did put a little lipstick on this morning, first time in a week. Anyway, that's what's been going on at my house. I hope things are good with you. I look forward to reading your comments. If you want one of the patterns, be sure you add a comment with those words in it. And those of you who have won one, please be sure that you send me your address. Okay, and my email address will be in the box below. All right, y'all, have a good rest of the week, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.